Okay, here we go. Ken Rosenthal has the scoop. Carlos Correa and the Twins are accelerating talks as a deal with the Mets remains in limbo. It's an article on The Athletic, and I got it right here for you. The possibility of a stunning reunion between Carlos Correa and the Twins is increasing, team sources said Monday night. With the status of the mega deal he agreed to with the New York Mets last month unresolved, the Twins suddenly are back in the mix for the free agent shortstop. Two club sources said Monday that talks between the Twins and Correa have begun to accelerate. A separate major league source confirmed the development as well. I'm going to be honest, not really too surprising to me to see this, considering we just had the report the other day that the Mets were growing frustrated with the Carlos Correa negotiations, and that report was also suggesting that the Twins had rejoined the bidding. In case you've been living under a rock, Carlos Correa, something happened with his ankle and leg a long time ago in the minor leagues, and that has made teams concerned. The Giants backed out of the deal. The Mets, they've hesitated on the deal, and they've wanted to rework the contract. They've wanted to include language that will protect them down the road. And obviously, it looks like the Mets and Scott Boras are not seeing eye to eye when it comes to whatever language goes into the contract. And to me, I've been thinking this entire time with Carlos Correa, I would think he would want to play for the Mets. This is a team that right now is built to win a championship. Carlos Correa is a guy to me that wants to go out there and win championships. But also at the same time with Carlos Correa, he's a guy that I think also just wants to have just good long-term stability. He wants to have a contract that he feels like is going to be fair for him. Basically, what I'm trying to say is he wants to make his money. So not surprised if he ends up going back to the Twins as well. But I would think he would want to go play for the Mets. But if they are not satisfied with the language of whatever the Mets are trying to include in this contract, then I can see, Correa being like, you know what? I don't think this is worth it for me. I don't think this is worth it for me in the long run. I'm just going to go back to the team that he actually had a good time with last year. The organization loved having him. He liked being with the organization. The younger players in the organization were really looking up to him. It seemed like a good relationship all the way around. And Scott Boras was even complimentary of the Twins, when it came to their negotiations, saying how the Twins, he applauded how creative they were with the negotiations themselves. So it sounds like there's just mutual respect all the way around when it comes to Correa, the Twins, and Scott Boras. But man, what a blow to the New York Mets this would be. Just taking a look here, as of right now, Fangraphs has finally updated this. They had Carlos Correa as the projected third baseman here for quite a while, but now it looks like they have gone back on it. Now you have Eduardo Escobar slated back at third. I'm wondering if Correa doesn't end up going to the Mets, what he would have been the third baseman with Lindor as the shortstop. You could have Escobar, but I would imagine maybe Brett Beatty would get more of a chance, and especially now if Correa is not going to go to the Mets, I would imagine Beatty is definitely going to get an opportunity here, and Escobar is a guy that can move around. So for the Mets, though, that, in my opinion, would be just a huge blow this lineup is really solid as is, but I felt like they just really needed something else in this lineup, and I felt like Correa would have just been just an awesome piece to add here. But for the Twins, if you're able to bring back Carlos Correa, this lineup, you added Joey Gallo and Christian Vasquez, and then if you can put Carlos Correa back in at shortstop, you did bring in Kyle Farmer. I would imagine he would take more of a utility role. Kyle Farmer was also, just in my opinion, I feel like a pretty decent addition to the team. And with Kyle Farmer, the numbers were pretty good last year. Over 145 games, he hit 255. Not the worst on base percentage. Not the best WRC plus, but he's a guy that he can be productive. He can play some short. He can play some third. He even played a couple of games at first last year. So, but Correa is obviously going to be huge for this Twins team if he does end up going back to them. And this Twins team, they've been making some moves. And then, what does this mean for guys like Royce Lewis? And you got some other guys in the infield as well. Could maybe you maybe work out some kind of a separate deal, you know, with another one of these infielders, maybe bring in something. Maybe you could use one of these infielders for like a Pablo Lopez, add it to the rotation, and then you got a pretty nice looking rotation. You got Carlos Correa right there. That would be your centerpiece. That would be the face of the franchise. In my opinion, I know a lot of people would probably say Byron Buxton would be the face of the franchise, but I don't know. To me, Carlos Correa, he would be the face. I would really like the way this lineup would look, especially adding a guy like Christian Vasquez. I know my Draft Neck Robbie's coming out here. I've always loved Christian Vasquez, but he brings the intangibles. I've always liked me some Vasquez. And then Gallo, if you could get him really to get back to that Joey Gallo that we used to remember, that just used to clobber home runs all the way to Mars. I mean, my goodness, this could be a really good lineup. But this is definitely a huge turn of events. I was starting to think here that maybe Correa and the Mets were maybe starting to work things out. If you didn't see it, Wardy NYM, aka Tyler Ward, he was at a Mets event this past weekend, and he was actually able to ask Steve Cohen about Carlos Correa, and Steve Cohen answered with, you know, we feel like we're going to get an answer soon, one way or the other. And when I heard, or when I read that part, one way or the other, that to me was Steve Cohen saying, yeah, there's definitely a possibility that, you know, Correa doesn't end up coming to the Mets. And it sounds like he's sticking true to his word, because it looks like we are getting some kind of an answer here. And the Twins, give them a lot of credit for still, you know, right from the get-go, they made it clear to Carlos Correa they wanted him back, and it looks like they were the patient ones here. They've been seeing it through, and let's see how this ends up going. But this will be huge for the Minnesota Twins if they can actually just wait out the Giants, wait out the Mets, and then you're able to bring back your superstar shortstop. Let me know everything you think down below in the comments. Are you stunned about this? What do you think for the Mets? What do you think about this for the Twins? Let me know everything you think down below in the comments. But that's all I have for right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Sponsoring today's video, we have SeatGeek. If you're interested in finding a good deal on tickets, go check out SeatGeek. And also, use my code HYDE. You'll get $20 off your first purchase. And also sponsoring today's video, we have Prize Picks. If you are into the sports betting game and you're tired of FanDuel and DraftKings, go give Prize Picks a chance. They play the over-unders instead of actual people. If you use my code GINGER, you'll get a 100% deposit match.